We get triple the amounts of gifts taken out to eat versus when Father's Day comes.
We're going to have to discuss that one day.
Maybe we can talk about that next month.
Yeah, maybe so. Father's Month. Maybe we could talk about that. Why y'all get so many accolades. And then,
Flowers,
but
candy,
I understand, and not to get off topic, though, but we'll talk. Maybe we need to bring that up one day.
Yeah,
maybe we might talk about that next month in Father's Month.
Yeah.
Something to talk about.
It's something to talk about. It's something to think about. But also, mothers are like very, very important.
Yes, they are.
We give birth.
Yes,
you do.
Life givers.
We are life givers. And so today, our topic is Dear Mama. And each of us, individually and collectively, want to share with you our thoughts and views about mothers. We will be sharing a little bit about our upbringing as far as our relationship with our mom. And for those of us that are moms, we will be talking about what we are enjoying as being mothers.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I heard a little something in here that got me kind of off. So if I could write my mother a letter, what would I want to say? Well, first of all, I want to say this and I want to do this. As a speaker, as a mother, as a daughter, and as a woman, Vibe of the Tribe, you will be the first to hear this and witness this.
Wow.
I realize that I have never publicly honored my mother.
Ooh, that's
I've never
big.
publicly honored my mother. And
That's
so
big.
today, I want to honor my mother. As a Christian woman, and I realize I've been a little disobedient, the first commandment and commandment with a promise says to honor thy mother and father for thy days to be long.
Yes.
And so it's easy to honor someone you love and you cherished and you adored and you had like a most totally awesome relationship with, or that you knew that loved you unconditionally. So most of the time when you guys hear me speak, and you guys know that my book is based on the premise of my father and I's relationship.
Daddy's girl.
I'm a daddy's girl, love my daddy's dirty stink draws in spite of his idiosyncratic behaviors and his hang-ups and his issues. I loved my dad.
Yes.
So it was always easy for me when I speak to come from a place of honor for him. But with moms it was a little different because our relationship was a little strained, to say the least.
Yes.
And so over the years, I will say that I did my best as a daughter to honor my mother.
That's good.
Excuse me. No. Let me to show her respect.
Okay.
So now I'm ready to lie. Now I'm ready to start lying already.
Yeah, so there's a
There's
difference.
a difference
There's a
between
difference.
respect and honor.
There's
That's
a
true.
difference. Like, okay, I'm gonna respect you, but I don't hold you in high esteem.
Okay.
I don't cherish you or adore you or have reverence for you, but I'm just going to respect you.
Wow.
And as brass as that may seem, I need to be real.
Yeah.
That was my
Speak
truth. And it wasn't until like this year God really started dealing with me on the relationship I had with my mother.
It's never too late.
So you know that I'm a woman's woman, and I love women. And the reason why I encourage women and I support women and I love them like I do because I grew up not having that. So it made me very cognizant of that. A lot of times women don't have the love and the support and the encouragement for different reasons that they need. But also God told me this year as a agent of transformation, you guys know that I am a life coach, that he needed to take me to a deeper level with women. In order to do that, it needed to be some healing. And in order for me to be healed, he had to deal with my very first relationship.
That's good.
The first person who I ever heard their heartbeat.
First fruits.
First fruits. You know, that in the womb, that's when the relationship begins.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So even if a baby a child is unwanted, before they get here, they feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
And it manifests once they get here. And I was told that when I was in my mother's stomach and when she was pregnant, she wasn't ready to be a mother. And they said that
Wow.
when they brought me to her after I was born and put me in her arms, she didn't even want to really look at me. And so I never heard that from her, but I heard that from other family members. And hearing that, you can only imagine the ramifications and the hurt that you feel or that I may have felt. Let me deal with myself in first person, not you, me, from hearing that. But God told me it's time for me this year to deal with it. So growing up and feeling abandoned and feeling like a secondary to things that went on in my mother's life, I felt angry. I felt resentment towards my mother, and sometimes I even felt like I hated my mother. There were times that I said that to my mom.
Yeah.
I hate you. And I know that sounds like, whoa. But
I said it too.
you said it too. You can
Said it
relate.
too. I can relate. I'm vibing.
You vibing?
I'm vibing.
You vibing. So, you know that my mantra is Kim Self keeps it real, raw, and relevant. So sometimes we can keep it raw with other people, but we're not always looking at our raw truth. Because when you look at your raw truth, check out the word raw. Backwards is war.
Oof.
So when I look at my
You
raw
about to
truth,
bring heat.
I got to look at and deal with the war within me.
Ah, you got to say that again.
When I look at the raw truth, my raw truth, and I turn it backwards, now I'm looking at and dealing with the war within me.
That's power.
They call me Kim Self because I talk to myself. I encourage myself. I do a lot of things with myself. And many times we fight and we battle with ourselves. We have a war within us that in
Bible
order for
says
us
that.
to go to another level, that war has to be resolved. We have to win that war, not outwardly, but inwardly.
Right.
So, like I said, you know what? I'm gonna deal with you now with this situation with your mom. Have you really forgiven her? And so this year I started writing, instead of writing a forgiveness letter to my mom, I started writing a love letter to my mom.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, start thinking about some of the good things and the great things or some of the
Amen.
attributes that you may have received from her. And you've written enough about things that you didn't like about her. And so before we came in here, you guys know that I have a book. I'm always pumping and promoting my book, The Making of a
Show
Matriarch.
the audience.
The Making of a Matriarch. So I was like,
Powerful.
well, I don't have to get a forgiveness letter because I have in here a whole chapter on forgiveness and forgiving different people in my family. So I asked one of the young ladies, bring me my book. But then when I looked at what I wrote in the forgiveness section towards my mom, I realized that when I wrote this book, because it's based on the premise of my relationship with my dad, my hero, I still had some issues and some things I hadn't forgiven my mother about that I will
Lord.
quickly read and then move on. So what I say to my mom is,
Take your time.
take
Right.
my time,
Right.
right? I say, this is just my raw truth. My mom did not protect me from the hands of a predator. She actually protected the predator. Maybe she valued him more than me. So maybe that's why for so long I didn't know my worth. Because I wasn't
She
valued.
planted the seed of self-hate.
Right.
I didn't feel valued. That was my perception by the woman that birthed me. I don't know if some acts are forgivable. That's what I said in the book. All acts are forgivable.
That's
but I
right.
said I didn't know if some acts were forgivable. Maybe if she had apologized, I could have forgiven her. But she did not give me the chance to exercise that right. She never apologized. Although that is no excuse for not having a forgivable heart, it just explains the challenges I have with forgiving those that hurt me. I want to learn to forgive, and I want others that I have hurt and I've wronged to forgive me. I have made a pledge to forgive others as well as ask for forgiveness and forgive myself. I forgive you, Mommy, for the fact that you did not protect me or love me when I needed to be protected and loved. So, many times I had a mother and I wanted a mommy. And there's a difference between a mother
That's
and
true.
a mommy.
Yes,
That's true.
Yes, it is.
But I realized as a seasoned woman and as things progressed in my life, from a woman's standpoint, I have to forgive her, not for her, but for me. But I have to forgive her because there were some things that she couldn't give me because she didn't receive.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. There.
Right there.
There were things that she didn't give me
Right
because
there.
she didn't receive. And I often, share this because I'm a generation curse breaker. My mother's mother, so my grandmother, her mother died when she was 2 years old. So then my mother didn't have a grandmother. And then when she was born, her mother, my biological grandmother, who was named Bertha, died when my mother was 4.5 years old.
Generational pattern.
It was a generational pattern. And it wasn't until I came along and birthed my son, I was the first woman in 4 generations to take care of my child.
Wow.
So maybe that's why God had to give me a boy. But, so my mom was searching for what I was looking for her to give. I was looking for her to give me love, to nurture me, to lay in the bed with her, to applaud me, to praise me, to protect me. But she was looking for the same thing. And sometimes we look for those things in all the wrong places.
Yeah.
So that's where the men came in, where she was searching for love and wanting to be loved. And some of them, I felt like I was a victim of a predator, but so was she.
Yes.
She had
Yes.
men that were abusing her,
Yes.
men that had taken advantage of her child. And back then, you weren't, it wasn't verbalized.
Yeah, we still don't talk about
We
it.
still don't talk about it. We sweep so many things under the carpet. So as a seasoned woman now, I understand that she did her best.
Yes.
And that how can I not love her and honor her from the very fabric in which I came from?
And you're a piece of her, yeah.
And I'm a piece of her. So today I want to honor my mother, because as I honor my mother, I'm learning to honor myself.
That's good. Say that again, Kim.
As I honor my mother, I'm learning to honor myself.
One more time.
As I honor my mother today, as I was commanded to do, and we pick and choose what we want to do in the Bible.
I'm telling
like,
you.
oh,
Right.
Come on
you
now.
know,
I'm telling you.
I don't have to honor my mother. My mother didn't raise me. I don't have to honor my mother. My mother was running around with different men. I
Yeah.
don't have to honor my mother because she didn't know how to love me. She didn't know how to care for me. She left me. She made me feel torn, rejected. She made me
Yeah.
feel unvaluable. I don't have to. No. He said, honor thy mother for your days to be long, but more so because this is the vessel that I
Yes.
chose
Yeah.
to
Yes.
deliver you here. And with that being said, because of my mother, I was able to birth the Matriarch Society, a place and a safe place for women to come to that are single mothers that need love, that need
been
encouragement,
part of
and
the
need
plan.
support. And it was, thank you. It was what?
Part of the plan.
It was all part of God's plan. So therefore, that's why he said, honor thy mother. And on
That's
that
rich.
note, somebody take it away. Take the mic away.
I'm gonna take the mic away
Take it
because
away.
we're kindreds, and so our lives are so parallel. It's unbelievable. And what I noticed from what you said, when we are abused, we don't hate our parents. We don't hate our parents, even though we tell ourselves that we do. We don't hate our parents. It's turned inward. We hate ourselves. So for me, I don't believe my parents ever had the intent to abuse me. I don't even think they understood that it was taking place at the time or in the circumstance. I think they did what they knew to do, just like you said. And I've learned recently, just like you, that I was born from their individual and collective trauma. So both of my parents were severely broken at conception. I could go into details about that, but both of my grandmother and grandfather, which is my father's parents, one was killed and one died hemorrhaged to death in a short span before my father was even 13 years old. And then shortly after that, him and my mother grew up together, and they ended up being a couple. And my mother had just gone through a divorce with my grandparents, grew up in a violent home. So it was like that's where they came from, and then here I come. So I was birthed in the center of that. So in the center of trauma, yeah. Turmoil. And given that, they weren't even capable of giving me what was necessary. And now that I'm a parent and grandparent, I have empathy for them. Like now I get it. Now I get it. So my mother mothered me in the same way that she was mothered. Mm-hmm. And that was a lot for me to digest, but that was my revelation. She mothered me in the way that she was mothered. And so mommy was physically and emotionally abandoned by her mother during her formative years while living in an abusive environment of domestic violence with her parents, and that is exactly what I experienced. And then so we do what was done to us.
To us, exactly.
Yeah, that's what we do. I heard Ayanla say, and this just, when you brought up this topic, this is what sat with me. She said, a woman can only be the mother she was taught to be.
Exactly.
And so that helped me to take the chip off my shoulder towards my mother, because it was a lot. I'm telling you, talking about using some harsh words towards your mother, and I don't even think my mother's usually like really amped to watch Vibe of the Tribe. She supports us 100. She is like our number one cheerleader. But I think when I announced that we were going to be talking about mothers, honestly, I don't know if Mommy, call in if I'm lying on you.
We love you, Mama BJ.
But I think that my mother automatically thought that I was going to get into a bashing mode or expose or exploit her for what she did or didn't do. So I wanted to say that publicly, Mommy, that is not what I'm about, okay? Anyway, Ayanla said a woman can only be the mother she was taught to be. So I turned around as an adult and abandoned my own children emotionally. I have to say that publicly. And then selfishly subjected my girls to an abusive environment as a result of my unresolved hurt.
Yes.
And then because we know that hurting people, we always say hurting people hurt people. Exactly. But we got to bring that in a little bit. Hurting people hurt those closest to them. Right. You don't just hurt any old body. Right. You hurt the ones right there. To you. The ones we're supposed to be loving on, those are the ones we hurt. Yes. So, dear mommy, I love you. Amen. And I always have. In fact, I have loved you more than I ever loved myself. My own personal life's journey has taught me empathy and compassion for you, Mommy, as I approach 50. So I no longer entertain or embody resentment for what you did or didn't do as a parent, because I've had the chance to make quite a few mistakes and have many regrets as a parent myself. I not only have repeated your mistakes, but added a few of my own that I can't even blame you for. I know what it feels like, Mommy, to feel abandoned by your own children, even when you never intended to abandon us. I know what it feels like, Mommy, to be disrespected and disregarded after making so many sacrifices for your children. I know what it feels like, Mommy, to want to share a loving relationship with your children without knowing how to or where to start or not even feeling capable. I don't blame you anymore. I understand you, Mommy, and I choose to no longer punish you.
Amen.
I am committed to healing us as a family. So, like you said earlier, God commands us to honor our mother and father. Mommy, I honor you. I have done and will continue to do my best. If I could make one wish, Mommy, I wish you could have and would have taught me how to love myself. Self-love has been the hardest thing yet to learn by myself. I am still the little girl who longs to know love. Sincerely, Tanisha.
Amen.
That's awesome.
Amen. That is so beautiful. That was so beautiful.
Yes.
I love the way you honored your mother. I love the way the little girl in you calls her mommy, and that you want to bring forth the healing, which what you said was so unselfish, not for you, not just for her, but for your entire family.
Yeah, because we've had so many generational curses. Like, I'm tired of that.
Right.
I'm tired of the discord.
Exactly.
And
the dysfunction.
the dysfunction. Yeah.
The trauma and drama. Right.
Come on, E.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Speak on it.
First, I want to commend both you ladies for having public courage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's not. I'm in my feelings right now. I'm all man.
All
And,
man.
You know, it touched me to hear you guys speak out to your moms, and I just want to speak out to my mother. Me and my mother been in the trenches together. You know, I'm from the hood. My mama from the hood.
Yeah.
And my daddy one time told me about my mother. He said, your mother is well respected by men. That's big.
Yeah, that is.
She say the men respect her. You know, and I was like, wow,
That's
like that.
powerful.
You know, my mother could have flushed me down the toilet. My mama, let me back up. My mother was 15 when she had me.
A baby.
A baby. So you couldn't possibly know how to
She didn't
to
know
mother.
herself.
Right. Mom was still, what? What's that, high school?
Yeah.
What was that? Thank you. So,
She didn't even get the rites of passage yet.
yeah. I mean, but I could have been left on the doorstep.
Yeah.
I could have been left in the smokehouse.
Yeah.
I could have been flushed down the toilet.
Absolutely.
You know, but she gave me to my grandmother, which was the best thing she could have ever did. You know,
That's
and I,
you know,
I
E, not to
commend
cut
her
you off.
for
That's
that.
that's what they did when our parents were
Yeah,
growing
in
up.
our generation,
you
they
were
were right.
able to. If
Thank
you
you.
couldn't do what you needed
There
to
you
do,
go.
take them
Mama,
over Mama
handle this
house
for me.
or Big Mama house
There you go.
or Medea's house,
Right.
right?
You know, and you know, me and Mom's been through a lot. Mom's, you already know, we've been through a lot, and I never ever was mad at my mother about nothing. I really wasn't, because I understood at that age, how could you're a kid.
Yeah.
I think boys have more compassion though towards
Well, of
their
course.
mother.
Of
It's
course.
a tenderness
Of
that they have, huh?
A
Of
boy
course.
with his relationship with his mom.
Yeah,
is totally
you know, and
different.
our house was the hood house. You know, everybody used to come over our house. Moms, you already know what time it is. You know, Ike Turner stayed at our house. You
Well,
know,
y'all had the celebrities over there, too.
Yeah, he stayed at our house for a minute, and
The infamous Ike
yeah,
Turner.
exactly. He really, he just stayed at our house. Let me say that. I won't get sued for that.
Right.
Anyway, you know, Moms is tough. You know, she's a leader. And see, we went from being OGs to having master's degrees. I'm serious.
That's
Wait,
right.
back up. You
No,
know I
we went
love
from
those
being-
moments. What?
No,
Say that again.
we
E.
went from
Come
being
on.
OGs to having master's
We
degrees.
went to being from OGs to
being
having
a
master's
degree.
degrees.
Me
Like
and my
it,
mama,
TWE.
me and my mother have a college education.
Dig
You know,
it. I'm
I
vibing.
watched my
That's
mother
a
go through
vibe.
the lowest of low to the highest of highs.
Man, that's a vibe.
You know,
Y'all better
and-
catch it.
Yeah, you know, and we
Oh,
really
geez, to have
from the
master's
hood, you know,
degrees.
as everybody at this table is, you know, but
Yeah.
mom's never abandoned me like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's
Mom's-
powerful too.
Yeah,
'cause
she
she
never
could
abandoned.
have.
That's what I'm saying. She could have. You know, and when she wasn't able to take care of me, she did that with
Put you in
Gramps,
good
whatever,
hands.
man. Then I went back and stayed with her when she was married, and we had a nice house and never wanted for food. None of that.
That's how my life was like that too.
Yeah,
E.
and so, you know, people be mad at their moms, and I understand all that. I understand that. But I just want you to know, Mom, I was never mad at you about nothing because
That's
I
rich.
understood.
Boy, that's a man.
Yeah, no. I understood the struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understood the struggle. I understood, you know, having a baby at 15. What the heck I'm going to do with a baby?
But what's
You
good
still
about
kid.
that E, is
Yeah.
that like most kids, we don't get that. We don't have sympathy for that because
Yeah.
it's about what we need as children. All we thinking about is our needs. You're
Right.
not meeting our needs.
Thank
We're
you.
not having sympathy for your situation.
Right.
Here I
There we
am,
go.
50.
And thank you.
I'm about to be
And
50 and just talking about
Here
it.
now, I
Yeah.
dare not minimize
Yeah.
your struggles with your mothers. That I dare not minimize that. All I'm saying is I looked at it from her side of the glass, and the struggles that she had to go through as having a child at a young age and growing up hustling, because we was all hustling. You know, we was doing what we was doing, and I just want to say I'm proud to my mother because she the one made me get a college degree.
Yeah.
And it's not how you
Yeah.
start.
It's how
not
you end up.
Start.
It's how you end up, and
Yeah.
you know, I can say it ain't where
Not
you
how you
from, it's
start.
where you
Not
at.
how it's not
how
where
you
you
start.
start.
You know, and I love my mother. My mother, y'all met my mother. My mother, the bomb.
Yeah, she is.
She's seasoned enough
is.
to be
Miss Randy's the
respected, but
bomb.
she's cool enough to be liked.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Love me some Miss Randy.
yeah, that's what we call it, Miss Randy. You know, so Mom, I love you. You know, I don't have no long drawn out story. You know, I could tell a lot of stuff that we done been through. You know, that we both done seen. But I
love hearing
love you
that.
as your son, and I just hope you're proud of me.
Oh, she gotta be proud of you.
Yeah, he's proud of you.
Yeah.
Proud of you. He's proud of the elder.
Let's hear from the youngin' over
Young
there.
Yes.
Oh man, just taking it all in. I do
She
think
sound like Christian too, huh?
that's my sis.
Taking it all in.
I do think though it's so true and so important though. Everybody has their own perspective and their own
Exactly.
experiences. So how people experience things are different. Even if it's a similar situation, it still is a different experience
That's
for people. And for me, I definitely am just grateful and just privileged and honored enough to have had a mother, and she was a single mom. But she hustled, she grinded. I never saw my mom not working. She just always had that hustle mentality, literally 2 to 3 jobs at one time, just to provide for us, to make sure that we were fed and we were okay, and we had a large village and just an amazing support system. But my mom is just so strong and the epitome of strength to me. And it's sometimes, because it's true, it's we can have these moments of celebration or celebratory moments with people, and it's you celebrate because that's what's supposed to happen.
Right, that's what we do.
You're supposed to celebrate because
Yeah.
it's Mother's Day, but
Yeah.
to really go back and dissect or sit down and reflect and look at and see kind of what we're celebrating, what this is. And it's not just a trend or a fad, but literally looking at this person and this woman and what they've done. And it's true. Our experiences aren't for us. It is
That's
not
good.
about us.
That's good.
It honestly, personally, as messed up as that may be, as hurtful as it may be, as much as we need to go through the trenches to really learn and grow and self-heal, it really isn't about us. Our stories are for the next person.
Do y'all hear the
Yes.
youngin' over there spitting
Oh.
wisdom?
Wisdom.
Sounding like you 50 years old.
Look here, I'm just grateful.
Right.
But it's so amazing, because where would Kim Self be without her mother?
Man.
Because there would be no matriarch society.
Man.
Where would T to the double E
Yeah.
be
Right.
without your
Right.
mother? There may not be Vibe of the
Yeah.
Tribe. Just really being
Right.
able to look at your life and say, you know what, this wasn't it. This wasn't perfect. This wasn't great. But Kirk Franklin said, our pain is prepreparation for our destiny. So to be able to take
Yes,
that pain
yes,
and
yes,
to really
yes.
prepare yourself and propel
Right.
yourself and use it as stepping stones to be able to say, this is going to launch me off to something further and something better, is just, it's so amazing. And just finding the importance of that and never forgetting that. And that's one
Never
thing I can
forgetting
say
it.
about my mom, my dad, and my mom came from 2 completely different backgrounds. My mother was raised in the South. My grandfather is a pastor out there still. And my father is Muslim. And just 2 completely different
Right.
walks of life.
Right.
And they ended up together. And they ended up having me and my brother. And it was a physically abusive relationship. And my mom just finally had enough and left.
It's strength in that.
and
Wait, pause. she had the strength to lead.
Yeah.
That says a lot
that's
about
right.
your mother
absolutely.
right there.
Yeah,
That says a lot about
Yeah.
your mother.
Yeah.
She had the
Exactly.
strength to lead for y'all and her.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And to be able to just step out and step away from that
Man.
situation definitely was an amazing and just important moment in her life. And to be able to then move on to raise me and my brothers by herself and just really be able to provide for us was always something amazing and something
What an
that I
example.
always admired. But one thing that I always said was when I was growing up, that was my mom. Like, she provided for us. She made sure we had what we needed, and like she was a provider. She worked hard, and she provided so much, and she had to work so much that I think we kind of missed kind of some of those mother-daughter moments. And it wasn't because she was off doing her thing. It was because she had to provide. When you're the sole breadwinner in the house, you do what you got to do.
Listen,
Yeah.
man, you speaking
Yeah.
for me now. I hope my kids are listening somewhere because that's what I did. You can't do everything.
No.
Right.
So as a mother, I wanted to give my kids everything I didn't have and more.
Yeah.
So I was hustling like your mama, grinding. But
Yeah.
you can't be there to love and make those bonding moments and connect all the time if
Yeah.
you're getting what they need. You
Yeah.
can't do both.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
You can't.
It's
hard
trying
to
to
do
find the
both.
balance. And
I shouldn't say you can't. You have to make a choice.
Yeah, and
Some people
it's
can.
true though. You have to find the balance in things and
Yeah.
figure out like what works for you. And at that time, like that, my mom just had to do what she had to
Yeah.
do. But I'm grateful because when I became a mother and got pregnant, just the relationship shifted, and we were able to see each other as not only just mother and daughter, but these friends, and to be able to really have
strong
those
women.
bonding moments.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's
to be
good.
able to have conversations that I never felt really comfortable to talk about my mom with because that was my mom. But
Yeah.
to now be able to talk to her as a woman, as a mother, and to be able to receive it was just truly, and is truly an amazing thing. And to be able to take what she's been through and what she's gone through, and my mother's now married. They've been married for, my stepdad and my mom have been married for 18 years, and to even
that's
still
beautiful.
see the strength that she possesses, because my stepdad just had his second heart transplant.
Man.
And that turned around and had to have her
All of that is an
go back
example
to,
for you.
oh yeah, absolutely. Like my mom truly is, and not just because it's Mother's Day or because we're to celebrate mothers during this month, but to be able to see women and the strength
a
that we
boss.
present. Oh, absolutely. Like
Yeah.
for sure.
Boss.
The, but
BAWSE.
man, I tell people I talk to my mom every day, and it's so silly because when I got married, my husband and I was like, oh, when we get married, I want a house, blah 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 blah. So then we
Check
get.
it out. She's married, y'all.
I am. Yeah. It hit in 1 year in June.
Right.
And I was like, I want a house. And we're talking about it. And he's like, okay, cool. We were fortunate enough to be able to get a house. And then I was like, well, where is it? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's over on the other side of town. And I'm like, that means I'll be 20 minutes away from my mom. And he's just like,
That's beautiful.
so I like truly, people used to joke with me all the time because I would get anxiety when my mother would like go out of town and leave, and I would physically get sick, like
Wow.
unintentionally get sick. So I was like,
Wow.
I'm moving away from my mom, and she's like, girl, you grown.
Right.
You have to have a husband. You better get on in this house. So she truly didn't have an issue with me moving 20 minutes away. But we talk every day, and to be able to
beautiful.
just have this relationship has been so special and so important, not only to me, but to be able to be that example, because I have so many friends
Yes.
who don't necessarily have that relationship with their mother.
It's for her.
Yeah,
For
and
the
it's
baby.
for, right, it's for my daughter to be able to see, like, oh, okay, this can happen. For me to be able to see where my mom was a hustler, because I get my work
You
ethic
gonna
from
get
my
it?
mom. Like, I get it. And we hit the pavement.
You
We
get how you
hit the
live it?
pavement. Look here. Depending on the day, I might be a costume designer. Depending on the next day, I'm the director of student
Multitasking.
programs.
Yes.
Look
Yeah,
here.
how
We're
you
going to make
live
it.
it.
We're going to make it happen.
Yes.
So to be able to now just not only exude what she did when I was younger, but then to add, because
That's
I
right.
learned that it is a
Add.
balance. So now how do I find my balance with my daughter? And it's like, true, I do. I want to give her everything that I didn't have and I couldn't couldn't have and more, but I want to be there for it.
That's right.
I'm a very physical,
That's good.
present person,
Present.
and
That's
I
beautiful.
believe in that. And I know my mom couldn't do that. So now let me take that, learn how to do it. I mean, God forbid, I am tired. Don't get me wrong. Your girl has long days, but to be able to go hustle all day, to then be able to take my baby to her private gymnastics lesson, and to be able to see and watch
That's
her grow,
beautiful.
and just be able to see the fruits of her labors and my labors, and just to watch that is
Yeah.
so important to me, because my mom couldn't do it,
Yeah.
and I know she couldn't do it. And when we were about to get evicted, and she didn't want to tell us, and it was my senior year, and here we are thinking of Disneyland and
Yeah.
grad night and all these
Yeah.
things, the varsity Letterman
Yeah.
jackets.
You ain't got nowhere to live.
Look here, I asked for nothing. I didn't tell my mom when the stuff was. She didn't even know what was happening. And she was like, well, why didn't you say anything? But like you, Elder, you know, I just had that. I saw her
Wow.
perspective.
Right.
I saw how
So
hard
you
you were
guys
working
are
and grinding. You know, look, I'm selfish in some parts, but when
Yeah.
it comes to
Yes.
family and just relationships, I really try and be selfless because of the
beautiful.
examples that were set before me. But it truly is. It's so amazing, because it's true. Like, these stories aren't for us. Like, it's not for us. My mom and I talked about it. My husband and I experienced a miscarriage, and my mom was there and really like talked to me, and we
Nurtured
worked
you
through it.
through it.
And she it was truly like this moment of like, but this isn't for us, and it's not about us. So to be able to have women, because sometimes it isn't our mom, because when I was in high school, my mom was grinding, so
Yeah.
we didn't have that.
So you
but I
put
had
other
amazing
people in
women
place.
around
That's
me
right.
to be able to
That's
still have
right.
those
Yeah.
relationships. And even
That's
now,
right.
you know, Mommy Kimmy, we always, you know, there's still some stuff I don't really, you know, moms, I love you, but some things she'd be like, oh Lord. But to be able to have women in our lives to be able to fill those gaps, like
Yeah.
God will never leave us with a void. Like,
Yes.
we think it's a
That's
void.
powerful.
We think we're missing something. We're thinking like, oh, I'm looking at my
That's
homegirl,
powerful.
and I'm looking at everybody else.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Joneses, and I'm like,
Right.
Your
well,
last
dang.
name,
Jones.
Smith.
Right. I don't have that, you know, but to know that it's like, that's their story. That's their testimony.
Right.
Whatever they going through is theirs. And this is what we're going through. This is mine. And to know that like God will never leave us with a void or leave us to lack. And when we do feel like we're lacking or we have a void, it's something there for us that we need to learn. It's
That's
lessons that we
it.
have
There's
to learn.
a lesson
That's
in
it.
it.
That's
There's a
it.
lesson in it.
I mean, that's what I love about God, because He has a plan. He
Yeah.
is the master with a plan.
Without
He
a
has a
doubt.
master plan.
Yeah,
Without a
absolutely.
doubt.
And
The master
so,
with a plan,
what
with
the
a
enemy
master
meant to
plan.
harm us, He meant it for our good.
Yeah.
Amen.
And like you said, it's about our stories. Our stories will be here when we leave here, and they'll change others' lives. And that brings me back to like the way we grew up. We're always trying to do better. We're
Yeah.
always trying to achieve
Yeah.
more, because each generation should exceed
That's right,
the previous
Kimmy.
generation.
That's
Right.
right.
And so I know, you know, I told my son when he was 18 years old, if I never do anything else for you, boy, you know, I've exceeded my parents.
Right.
But more than that, I thank God for the relationship that I had with my parents. And even though some of the things were painful, but like how you brought up Kirk Franklin, I never forget one time he was receiving an Oscar, and he said, a Grammy, and he said, I asked God, why so much pain? And he said, God said, because it was necessary.
It was necessary.
It was
Thank
necessary.
you.
And
There it is.
it's in the pain where our power prevails.
Right.
And it's in the pain where God steps in and gives us the power. So although I didn't have the ideal role model of parents, God still put other people in my life. Like you said, like you know, you guys play mommies or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so I want to honor my play mothers. I want to honor Evangelist Gaynell Dawson,
yes.
my mother in the gospel. That
She's
has
a
helped
powerhouse
me
too.
keep my
She's
mind.
a
I
beat
want
in
to
the
honor.
gospel while you playing.
I want to honor Mama BJ that
Yes.
calls me her own. I want to
Yes.
honor Mama Randy
Yes.
who calls me her own. I want to honor Gwendolyn Tyson
Yes.
that was
She's
there
beautiful
from
woman,
day
strong
one
woman of God.
when, you know, my mother, you know, turned the key and said, you can't come back in. And I thank God that He placed women in my life
Me too.
to love me.
Me too.
But through the pain, I became passionate about being a mother. Through the pain of not having a mother, I became passionate
You flipped it.
about being a mother.
flipped it.
And it's in our passion, whatever we're passionate about is usually what our purpose is.
Yeah.
So that's why I am the premier single mothers consultant, and I love helping single moms and even loving on women. But I want to talk about us being moms. So I love being a mom. My son is the joy of my life. I think,
He is.
I
You
think
can see you light up.
Oh, man,
You
I think,
light up. She
I
done
thank
lit
God
up
for
now.
him. I thank God for him. And it's so funny. Lately, he tells me, I call him and I tell him different things are going on, with the selling of the house and things going
Yeah.
on at work. So my son says to me, stay focused. He'll text me and I'll say, listen, stay focused, Mom. And then I realized yesterday, I said, boy, that's why I used to tell your grandfather. That was my last words on my father's voicemail before he went to be with the Lord. He got his check. You know how it is when you get your check. You
ready to go buck wild.
You ready to go buck wild. I said, Pops,
Money get hot.
pay your rent, pay your bills. I want to say,
man.
don't go to that place.
Right.
Go to that bad house. But I said,
Not
my
that
last words was, stay focused.
Oh, wow.
And so it's amazing with the
Man.
relationship because, like both of you guys, I worked. My son was my inspiration. He's still my inspiration of why I get up and
Yeah.
go to work every day at
Legacy.
Work legacy. I mean, I've worked since I was 17, and I tell you guys, I've never had a break. I've never had that moment
what
where
I
I was
said.
on disability. I was on,
Vacation.
getting aid, from welfare. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just never had that opportunity. I worked, but what got me out of the bed every day, that drove me to work, that still does, is like, I got this boy.
Yeah.
And he's the game changer.
Man.
And we're going to change. We're going to rewrite our story. We're going to take this legacy to a whole nother level.
Wow.
So, I mean, when you talk about work, I
powerful.
tell people, young people, especially when they tell me they tired and, hey, you just
Child,
getting
you
started.
ain't did nothing.
You ain't done nothing. You ain't done nothing until you went to work 10 hours. Then you went and you worked at the mall another 4 hours through the holidays. Then on the weekends, you dressed up as a clown and let balloons get popped in your face from the little kids. We went, you did the massages. You did the good massages. You did the bad massages. You did whatever it took. In order to,
Come on,
I was Tilly the Clown.
Not the bad one.
I was Sweet Caramel. I've been, Kimmy, Little Kim. Dang near I should be like, I'm like a schizophrenic.
Come on now.
I don't know who I am sometimes. I didn't know who I was. But all I knew is that
Everybody
I had to
at
pay
the
the
same
bill.
time.
Like Rick
Like
Ross.
Sybil.
Every day I'm hustling.
Look here.
Can't stop, won't stop, and I'm not
Man.
gonna stop until me and my boy go to a whole nother
I ain't
level.
mad at you.
So like our kids, like if I didn't know what family was, and God has blessed me, and let me say happy birthday to Kia.
Happy birthday,
Kia.
Kia.
Happy birthday to Kia. Today is Kia's birthday. God has blessed me with children. Before I had my son, my ex-husband, he had 2 daughters, and he has now a daughter and a son, which I wanted to make sure that my son had a relationship with them.
That's
it was
good.
very important.
That's good.
And sometimes as parents, sometimes we got to eat crow. Because
You
it's
ain't
not about
lying.
it's not
You
about
ain't lying.
us. Sometimes you got to swallow your pride. You got to say, you know what, I'm doing this for the betterment of my family.
Yeah.
So I loved. My son was a very difficult child. If anybody that knows him, he's still a difficult young man. But he's grown into such a wise young man. And when I see him, I see me next level.
You can't
When I
help.
see him, I see the opportunities that I didn't have, that I was able to allot him. Glory be to God. I see him taking on the next generation and the next generation to the next level when I leave here. So I love being a mom. I love my boy, and that's it. That's all I'm saying. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Look here.
Elder.
I want to change lanes for just a minute. We on the
Yeah.
same freeway. We're going to get off on the
Yeah.
same exit. But I want to switch lanes, so I'm going to put on the blinkers.
Switch
And
lanes up.
this is a challenge. You have a week before Mother's Day, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's anybody that's harboring unforgiveness in your heart towards
on,
your
Elder.
mother, or son towards mama, daughter towards mama, I just want to give you a definition of forgiveness. Then I'm gonna give you the spiritual definition. I'm gonna give you the dictionary definition of forgiveness.
That's rich.
And I'm gonna give you the spiritual definition. So I'll start off with the dictionary definition. It's forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process
It's a
First,
process.
intentional and voluntary process, and it's a process by which the victim undergoes a change in the feelings and attitude regarding the offense. Now, that's what happened to you. Okay, now we're going to deal with who did it to you. Okay, letting go of negative emotions, such as vengeful or punishment of the offender, however legally or morally justified it might be.
That's right. Letting it go.
Letting it go, however much they deserve it. You got to be able to
Power.
let that go, because the longer I hold something, the heavier it gets.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oof.
and
The
you
longer
got to
hold
realize
something,
that
the heavier it gets.
when you harbor unforgiveness, it weighs on you more than the
Very
offender
true.
all day long.
Very true.
Okay, and it starts to poison you.
Yeah.
The Bible says, "Don't let a root of bitterness spring up inside you, that it may what affect other relationships." I'm paraphrasing. So, the spiritual meaning is to throw off. So it's literally telling you to throw that off you, throw it away. Now that
that's
might be
good.
hard for some people, but
good.
you have to start the process to get
There we
that.
go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Start the process
Throwing it off
of
of
get
you.
that emotional backpack off you. Get it off you, because it's
Yes.
weighing you
Release
down.
it.
And what happens is a root of bitterness springs up. Now, what does a root do?
Huh.
Root gives what? Fruit.
Right.
Okay, and then the
And
fruit,
roots go
your
down
fruit-
deep.
Roots go down deep, and then when you have all this fruit of unforgiveness, it starts to taint your relationship.
It's bad
Yes.
fruit.
It's bad fruit. So if there's anybody out there, I challenge you, and I remind you, I said it's a process.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
go to somebody you offended, your mother, and just say, you know what? And here's the last thing I want to say: there's a difference between saying I'm sorry and asking for your forgiveness.
That's right.
Those are two different things.
Help
That's
us, E.
right. That's right.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, I'm asking your forgiveness.
Yes.
This is called the power of an apology. I'm asking for your forgiveness. In other words, I'm not telling you, I'm sorry. No, I'm asking your permission to forgive me. Does that make sense?
That's
Yes.
rich.
Because you can easily say, oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry for what? Now,
Yeah.
the second bullet point is
Yes.
you have to, in detail,
Yeah.
tell them why you're asking for forgiveness. Okay, I'm asking for forgiveness from you because I stole out of your wallet. As opposed to say, yeah, okay, I'm sorry. No, that's not the whole.
I'm sorry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
mad I
sorry.
stole out of your
Yeah.
wallet.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm asking your forgiveness.
Yes.
So when you go in detail, that means you're letting them know and you're clarifying, I understand the wrong that I did.
You got to humble yourself to get
You got to
there.
humble yourself
You
to
gotta
do
humble
that.
yourself.
Everybody's not going to be ready by Mother's Day,
No.
but I want to plant that
Yeah.
seed in the process of you saying, and then some people going to take the courage and say, you know what? I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
forgive.
Yeah.
Okay. There's something that's deep rooted, years of bitterness, years of pain, and we understand that. But try your best to even start the
Shoot, it
process.
took
I'm
50 years.
Yeah, it takes, but
Yeah,
it does
takes
take
time.
time.
It
though.
takes time.
It's
It
it's
takes
not.
time.
At least make the decision.
There you
though.
go. At
Make
least
the decision
you're right. To start the
forgive.
process. There
Yeah.
you go.
It's
Right.
and it's one step at a time. Whether
Right.
it's just to give you some tools, whether it's writing a letter to that person,
There you
Yeah.
go. That's the best, one of the best. Starters.
whether it's
Yeah.
calling that person or meeting them face to face, or just sitting and talking to your higher power about, because when you say you forgive a person, you're not negating how you feel.
No,
Right.
you can't dismiss that.
Right.
Because your feelings are valid.
Your feelings are valid.
right.
But a lot of times we feel the way we feel because what we believe.
That's good.
It's our thoughts and our belief that make us feel the way we feel. So at some point, put the shoe on the other foot. Like what
That's
I
what you
talked
gotta
about
do.
with my mom. I had to realize, oh gosh,
Me
I should have.
too.
I'm half a century
Me
now.
too.
I had to look at it like not as as her daughter, but as another woman
Right.
struggling in womanhood.
That's empathy.
Growing up, that's empathy. What forgiveness does is gives you compassion.
That's right.
It teaches you compassion, not just for that person, but for other people. And as he said, when we walk around and we harbor those ill feelings and we're holding on to them and the weight begins to get heavy, we don't have room for anything else good to come about.
That's
Exactly.
true.
When we're going to keep attracting those situations.
Yes.
What made me say, you know what, you really need to work on that and forgive, because until you forgive that person, until the lesson is learned, the lesson keeps showing up. And
Showing
it'll
up.
show up in different people. It'll show up in somebody else that'll abandon you.
Yeah,
in
because God
relationship.
ain't playing when he talked
Right.
about forgiveness. He
Well,
was
yeah.
not playing about
No.
that.
No. And until you get it right, it'll keep showing up. But once you release that thing, you release that thing and you see
You're gonna
it
be free too.
not so much as an offense against you, but you see it in a different light, that this is an opportunity for me.
Yes.
This is not for me to be offended. It's an opportunity for me to make a choice that's going to do something that's going to better me and make me a
Exactly.
bigger person.
And
Free
you
me
free
up.
yourself.
Free
That's
yourself.
right.
Right.
and free yourself up. You know, it's very imperative that people start that healing process.
Telling
You know, because you'll grow old, or you'll
Life is
grow.
short.
Life is short. Well, I read a book by Seneca, Senec. I think, Seneca A. Right, and it says it's not that life is short; it's that people waste time.
Oh.
You know, and
Ooh.
that's true.
Say that again,
I'm vibing.
E.
It's not that life is short; it's people waste time.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
People need to be more tight with their
Intentional.
time than they are with their money.
Intentional.
That you'll get that tomorrow. But anyway, that's another subject. But really work on that forgiveness and start the process.
Yeah, I
You know,
made a
God is
decision to
raising
do
you
that.
up,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and as Mimi said earlier, the stories that we go through, the backdrop that we
not
have,
for us.
is really the pain. The pain of pain is really on the backdrop of our life, so people can see the picture. And people can get healed, because whenever God raises up somebody, it's for everybody.
Yeah. That's right. That's
Yes,
good.
yes, yes.
You
That's
know,
good.
so it's a blessing, you know, that our moms is here, and we still say we love y'all. And I'm a father, they're mothers, and we just enjoying this journey as we vibing. We got
Yeah,
about
it's been a vibe
7 minutes
today.
left, so we want to go around and I guess the last
wanna
comments.
leave something,
You wanna-
Mimi?
Yeah, 'cause it seemed
The
like
youngin.
the youngin.
Yeah, you know, look here. I don't think age should define our I'm young visually.
But an old
man,
soul.
look here. God gave me a story, even though I'm young.
Right.
No, but I think the last thing that I would leave is just something that I've heard over time, and just something that I try and embody. But to strong women, may we know them, may we love them, and may we be them. So.
Oh, say that
yes,
again,
amen.
please.
Strong women, may we know them, may we love them, and may we be them. So to all the mothers out there, or to anyone out there who has a mother, we all have mothers, so here we go. You know, may you embody that with any woman that crosses your path. It doesn't have to be your mother. It can be someone who's impacted your
That's
life.
right.
Yes, amen.
That's right.
Amen. Vibing.
Vibing that.
I'm vibing that. I'm vibing that.
Kimmy, last thoughts?
Last thoughts. I just want to say, I want to reiterate what you said, Elder, that forgiveness is one of the most powerful self-tools you can use
Self-tool.
to help yourself.
Self-tool.
And so if it's anyone that you haven't forgiven, and for those that have grown up without a mom, or not the best situation or ideal situation, remember that turn your pain into passion, and
That's
your
right.
passion into purpose.
That's right.
Your pain
Good.
is not in vain.
That's good.
Your pain is not in vain. I like that. T?
I just want to thank Johnny B. Williams. Rest in peace. That was my great grandmother who raised me, and she did everything that she thought gave me everything that she thought I needed when my mother wasn't there. And then I want to thank Rose Sally Mae Johnson. That's my grandmother. She gave me all the fire, all the courage I have, the boldness that I have. I have the spirit of my grandmother. And lastly, I want to thank BJ. That's my mama. My mother, like Mimi said earlier, she's a go-getter. She's been a hustler and about her business from day one. She gave me my style. She always told me taught me that you can't stand out and fit in at the same time.
Right.
So
Yes.
she never made me
Right.
afraid to be myself. She would get on me when I tried to be like other people or was jealous of other people. She said, "You don't never have to be jealous of them." And I learned from Eve, can't nobody do me like me. She said, "I do what they can't do. I just be me."
Hello.
So with that said, I also want to close the show saying, "Ain't no hood like motherhood." E is For next month, tune in. It's Father's Day month. We're honoring the men next month. So I'm going to turn it over to E.
Next month, we're going to have a topic on the fathers. I'm going to have a board of young men here. And when I say young men, I mean seasoned and young. And we just going to chop it up about the dads.
Yeah.
You know, I think we get a bad rap, but I think why we get a bad rap because a great percentage of guys have not been there for their families.
Well,
I'm a man up and tell the truth.
Help them now. You got to help them. You got to help them.
Papa was a Rolling Stone. And when he died, all he left was us alone. He didn't leave no inheritance. He didn't leave no money. He just left them alone.
Right.
Okay, and that's a truth. That's a truth. I hate to say that.
I
That's
played
a
that
truth.
song at my daddy's
Yeah.
funeral, but I still
Yeah.
love him anyway.
We're going to talk about fathers and how to, you know, because every man has a journey. Every man has a journey to face, a battle to face, and a woman to rescue. And so
Say that again. You can't skip past that stuff. Y'all
every
skip
man
past it.
has a journey to face, a battle to face, and a woman to rescue. And
I
so
want to hear that again.
every man has a journey to face, a battle to fight, and a woman to rescue.
That's so powerful.
Okay, and I just got our topic. It'll be the P's of a man.
Ooh,
The
Okay.
4 P's of a man.
the 4 P's.
What
Yeah.
are-
You
what
going
are
to
those?
share now?
Nah.
All right,
Lord.
keep them one.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, there we go. Keep them one.
Yes. Oh,
Next
book of the month.
Oh, yeah, our book of the month.
Book
is
of
from
the
our
month.
very own,
Yes, it's from our very own Kim
real,
Sell,
raw, and relevant.
Yes.
Kimberly West Williams, Amazon best-selling author.
Ha!
It's called The Making of a Matriarch. The
Yeah.
Secret Life Lessons for Love, Happiness, and Success. It's a
Go
must
get
read.
that.
Yeah, go out and
cop
grab that.
See it.
Go cop that.
There we go. There we
Yeah,
go.
there it is.
Yeah.
I appreciate your love and support.
Okay,
that's
so that's our
good.
book of the
That's
month.
good.
God
Yeah.
bless you guys, and we love you guys, and we see you guys next month.